All right, we're talking about four more guys from four completely different corners of sports history. And today I want to make sure every one of these guys gets an actual moment. Not just where they played, not just what their numbers were. Something you could point to and say, yeah, that happened. Starting with Houston, this is Jim Owens, number 33. Owens came to Houston when they were still the Colt 45s, and he actually became a pretty useful bullpen arm. In 1964, he went 8-7 with a 3.28 earned run average, mostly appearing in relief. Then he made 50 appearances the next year after the Colt 45s became the Astros. And his signature moment for Houston comes almost immediately after that name change. April 14th, 1965, Shea Stadium. Houston had a 7-6 lead over the Mets in the 11th inning. Owens comes in, protects it, and finishes the game. That made Jim Owens the first pitcher ever to record a save while wearing a Houston Astros uniform. That's the kind of tiny little franchise first that I like finding in this project. Somebody had to have the first Astros save, and it was Jim Owens. Yeah, I'm here at the post office. I'm on break, so I'm taking a little walk here. And there's a weird little footnote to Owens, too. A couple years later with Cincinnati, he balked 3 times in one inning. At the time, that was a National League record. So, first Astros save, and a record that maybe isn't so memorable. All right, on to the Blues. For the Blues, we got Greg Gilbert. He wore number 7. Gilbert's one of those players where his career story is almost more interesting than his tenure in St. Louis. He won 3, count them 3, Stanley Cups. 2 with the Islanders in 82 and 83, and another with the Rangers in 94. In fact, he's the only player in NHL history to have won the Cup with both franchises in New York City. Then he came to St. Louis and played 46 games in that lockout-shortened 94-95 season. He put up 11 goals and 14 assists. April 3rd, 1995, against Toronto. That's a signature moment. The Blues are trailing 2-0 in the second period. Gilbert scores to make it 2-1. And a couple minutes later, Ian LaPierre ties the game with Gilbert getting an assist. Suddenly, St. Louis goes insane. The Blues scored 3 goals in 49 seconds. That set a team record, and what had been a 2-0 Toronto lead turned into a 5-2 St. Louis win. Gilbert didn't score all 3 or anything ridiculous like that, but he helped light the fuse. Goal, assist, Avalanche, not the Colorado. Golden State gives us Charles Jenkins, number 22. Jenkins arrived right before the Warriors became the Warriors. Steph Curry's already there, Klay Thompson's a rookie, but Curry's ankle problem wiped out the end of his 2011-2012 season. Monte Ellis got traded away, and suddenly, rookie Charles Jenkins was getting real minutes and real starts. And then, March 25th, 2012, Warriors at Portland Trailblazers. Jenkins played almost 40 minutes. He goes 13 for 22 from the floor, scores 27 points, and adds 6 assists. 27 was the highest scoring game of his NBA career. And Golden State lost 90-87, so this isn't a legendary game that everybody remembers. But that's exactly why I like it for Jenkins, because for one night, on a team that was in this weird transition between the old Warriors and the Dynasty Warriors, Charles Jenkins was the leading scorer. And sitting right there next to him, Klay Thompson. That's a nice little snapshot of history. Finally, on to Carolina. Curtis Whiteley, number 64, and it was Whitley. Whitley wasn't somebody who joined the Panthers later. He was an original Carolina Panther. Carolina took him from San Diego in the 1995 expansion draft, and Whitley won the starting center job. He started all 16 games during Carolina's first ever season, which means he was standing over the football for one of the most basic landmarks a franchise can possibly have. Its first win ever. October 15th, 1995, the Panthers were 0-5. They were playing the New York Jets at Clemson. Carolina fell behind 12-3, but Sam Mills took an interception back 36 yards for a touchdown. And the Panthers eventually pulled away. First regular season victory Carolina Panthers history, and Curtis Whitley was their center. That's an offensive lineman's signature moment in a nutshell. You're not the highlight. Nobody's making a poster of the guy snapping the ball. But every offensive play in the first victory this franchise ever had started with number 64 putting the ball into somebody else's hands. Whitley stayed around for that second season too, when Carolina made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. So that's your wallpaper for Monday. Jim Owens is the first save in Astros history. Greg Gilbert helped spark a record-setting Blues scoring burst. Charles Jenkins, 27 points, the best scoring night of his NBA career. And Curtis Whitley, starting at center when the Panthers won for the very, very first time. Those are 4 guys who are pretty easy to scroll past in the record book. And that's 4 reasons I gave you a reason not to. Now I'll change the wallpaper tomorrow. Thanks for stopping by, and please watch another one. Have some coffee.